Under Education, investing in staff through quality professional learning. During the 2018-19 district-wide and building-level in-services, instructional staff participated in trainings on various topics to support their role. Surveys were administered at the conclusion of trainings. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of data from the 2018-19 district-wide and building-level in-services and address next steps in our continuous improvement cycle related to professional learning for the 2019-20 school year. This presentation is for the board's information and discussion.
Welcome. We're glad to have you here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, good evening, President Logan, Dr. Thompson, and members of the board. Well, Tammy and I are happy to be in front of you this evening, and we're going to be talking to you about a topic that we shared with you earlier this year, and we have some follow-up information and some follow-up data for you. And so tonight we're going to be talking about professional learning data, and we're going to do it out of two lenses. We're going to talk about professional data and the learning that we've had from our building and district in-services, and then also give you some information about our professional learning plans for this upcoming school year. So as always, we like to start with why. And so when we think about why we're wanting to have this professional growth and professional development for our staff, we know that we want to always invest in our staff, because we know when we invest in our staff, we invest in our students. And finally, if you look at the self-correcting feedback loop and continuous improvement cycle, when we think about those two items, we know that we always want to continually improve and get better. So when we do better, our students do better. I'm going to take a moment for you to take a look at the slide that's hopefully in front of you. And feeding more off of the why we want to come to you today to talk about the investment in staff. One of the things that, as you look at that slide, it talks about toward the very bottom, I'll skip ahead for you, is the development of meaningful recruitment and retention strategies. I shared with you last time I was in front of you that one of the things that I think is a really big benefit to our staff is the fact that we provide professional development at no cost to our employees. And I know, speaking for myself, coming from other districts, when I was a teacher and I needed to recertify or renew my license, I had to go out, find coursework, spend my own money, and do that on something that may not even be really applicable to the work that we were doing in the district. We do an amazing job in this district providing building level and district level in-services to our staff that are relevant, and also provides them the opportunity to relicense just by attending our own professional development. And then finally, again, as I said a little while ago, when we invest in our staff, we invest in our students. So when we ensure the success for all of our learners, we do this by providing high-quality professional development for our staff. And as we think about the new initiatives in front of us this upcoming year, we know that taking time to invest in our staff, provide them with that high-quality professional development, is going to be key to our students' success. We also know that when we've looked at research, that teachers who are efficacious, have a high level of efficacy, have students who produce higher on achievement tests. And so again, this work is done to help our students get better by helping our staff get better.
All right, so we're going to take a look at some in-service survey results. Anytime we set aside a day for our teachers for their learning, we want to track the impact on this investment of time that we're spending with our staff. So we have surveys that we collect via Google, in which the teachers can give us feedback on their learning for that day. So we're going to start by looking at our district level in-service. This is anything that the central district office has created and provided for teachers. So you'll see here our survey data from last school year. And overall, we're really proud of the positive feedback that we've received so far. If you take a look at the February in-service, we had a slight dip in a number of participation. We had a couple of our in-service sessions that were off-site that had some internet hiccups, and so we weren't able to get quite as many feedback. We do have some paper copies that we typically have on hand, and we'll be better about making sure that if we happen to be off-site, that we have those available for us. And we really emphasize making sure that our presenters are using engaging techniques and that our teachers have the opportunity to collaborate, so that way it gets to implementation in the classroom for our students. So that's something we're continuing to work on. Okay,
so if we're looking at planning the professional learning opportunities, We always want to make sure that we're providing differentiated learning opportunities. And this is really important. And I'm going to back up a little bit and talk to you about some of the genesis of this. We've talked in our negotiation sessions a couple years ago about wanting to continue to provide professional development for people, but we also know that what we measure and what we monitor gets better. So that's why we do these in-service surveys. And so when we think about providing the differentiated learning opportunities, we know that Tammy's needs are different than my needs when it comes to learning. And so we want to provide that opportunity for all of our staff to get what they need when they're looking at how they're going to professionally grow. And then looking at ensuring time for participation, to have this processing time, and that we value and plan time for collaboration. These are all really important components that you're going to hear Tammy speak to you about in just a little bit more in depth. And then also thinking about a focus on self-care. This is something that we've spent a lot of time. I need to talk louder? Okay, here we go. Let me just lean in and get intimate with you. There we go. So if we focus on self-care, we've talked all year with our building level administrators. We've also talked with our teachers about the importance of self-care. We know that being a teacher and being an administrator is a tough job. And we often use the analogy that you'll see on an airplane when they tell you to put your air mask on first. We want to make sure that our teachers are taking care of themselves and that our administrators are taking care of themselves so that they can in turn take care of the students. And then finally, looking at the variety of formats and locations for professional learning, we've done a nice job in our system of giving different opportunities in different learning places. For example, I talked just even about assistant principal academies. We do them in a different location each month. And we do that so that the assistant principals can see the different areas in our city. They can learn about different quadrants of the city that they don't either live in or work in. And it really does provide them with a sense of the diversity that our district has to offer. And so now I'll talk to you about our building level data. And again, you'll see some, on this slide, you'll see some information that was shared with you previously. And I'll take just a second to let you look at that. And you'll notice from February until March, we really had an emphasis on making sure that we had as many staff take the survey as we possibly could. And so we've increased the number of participants. Our internet did work as opposed to in the district side, and so we were able to get actually about 200 people more taking the survey. And if you'll look at the side, you'll notice that we have growth, I believe, in each of the areas across the board of the survey indicators. And you'll notice that there are two that kind of stand out that are not in that 80 and 90% threshold. One is the self-selected professional learning opportunities. The second is staff having input into the planning of professional development. And if you look longitudinally, you'll see that those are the lowest that we have scores for. So in response to this and thinking about that feedback loop, we really wanted to consider what we would do in order to address the needs that our teachers said that they had. And so our learning services department has worked very hard on a professional learning cycle that Tammy's going to share with you.
All right, and there it is. When you look at that professional learning cycle, we want to make sure that we're using our data and making decisions based on that. And so when you take a look at this cycle, you'll see the database problem-solving model that our district has used historically, but then combining that with our 4 disciplines of execution, focusing on what's wildly important to us, and really the lead measures that are going to get us the results that we're looking for. So making sure that we have a focus on what's really important and that we are constantly looking at that and getting better and evolving and revolving to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our staff. And if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see 3 boxes there, the district, building, and then the individual teacher. We all have a role in professional learning from our district strategic plan and down to the individual classroom teacher. And we want to make sure that everybody is highlighted within this because everybody plays an equally important role in this professional learning cycle.
This is not on the script, but here you go. If you really enjoy the work of education and you enjoy reading and you're kind of a nerd with this kind of work, this slide is really powerful. If you look at what it entails, we have Plan, Do, Check, and Act, which is our continuous improvement cycle. Inside, you'll see DeForest's questions about what we want to do as a school system. It has our Dream, Believe, Achieve mantra, and then the alignment from district to building to teachers. It's really good work, and so I just want to applaud Learning Services for the work that they did. Back on script. Cadence of accountability is when you think about that plan, do, check, and act. Oh, sorry.
I can't, on that last one, I couldn't read the little print there, and I can't read the little print. Little help from my friend.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Moving on.
I can't see it anymore.
Well, we can solve it one of two ways. We can make it bigger, or I can just take it away, right? Okay. So let's go to this slide, which is the cadence of accountability. And if you think about that plan, do, check, and act piece, this is the act component. And I thought it was important to talk about, we can say we're going to do a whole lot of things, and if things don't get monitored, then we don't know exactly what our impact was. And this speaks specifically towards the administration and the building coaches, the MTSS facilitators, having conversations around building goals and measuring cycles. And I'll speak just specifically about in the elementary and secondary office, we're doing a lot of work to ensure that this accountability is taking place. Buildings are doing an excellent job creating their wildly important goals and then having their building goals and their measures that they're going to use for success. And so one of the things that we're going to do, and again, research tells us that if we monitor this and we have a critical partnership between coaches and principals and the elementary and secondary office, that we should see the kind of growth we want to see, especially when we think about the strategic plan and in my world for the elementary world, thinking about that third grade reading proficiency for our kids.
So when we think about professional learning, one of the things we really want to focus on is how adults learn. So we spend a lot of time talking about how kids learn best, but making sure that we're designing our professional learning for adults and how adults, grown-ups, learn best. So thinking about that, adults want to be involved in the planning of their development. They want to have some say. They want to learn through action and reflection. They want to get involved in the work. As opposed to hearing the answers to questions they haven't asked, they want to be challenged. They want to troubleshoot that together. And they want to make sure that their learning is relevant to what they're doing on a daily basis.
Okay, so the slide that you have in front of you talks about professional learning, and this is the professional learning planning guide. Some things I'll draw your attention to without getting too far into the weeds is you'll notice the district vision and mission at the top of the page. And again, when you think about the alignment that we want to see in our district, we have the district professional learning goals that we will have created as a district, and then we'll have the building goals below that. Again, this is a very easy, quick snapshot, if you will, for buildings to see if the work that they're doing is aligned to the work that's outlined in the strategic plan. We know that there are a lot of great things that we can do in education, but we know if we're doing a whole lot of great things and it's not aligned, we don't see the lift that we want. This is a way that we can align our system and ensure that what we're spending our time and money and effort on is actually going to have increased results for our students.
So in reflecting on our data and knowing that how adults learn best is to have some choice and some say, when we think about our professional development times, ensuring that we have time for our teachers to make some choice in what they'll be learning. So we want to think about how they learn best and give them options for involvement and to give our teachers a voice and a say in their professional learning. So what you see in front of you is a choice board, and what it is to serve as kind of an idea board for them to think about how they might want to take their professional learning that they've received and how they want to apply it or implement or dig deeper in their own learning. And so it can look different between different departments or grade levels based on what they need with their students at the time. An additional box is there for the team to create their own proposal. So if they have an idea of something that they would like to pursue to learn more, that they can bring that to their coach or their principal, and they can seek approval to continue their own professional learning in that manner as well. So an example of how that might look is taking a lead measure from within a building, so the action that they're going to take in place, and they might have a professional development session that gives them new information in which they have time to be involved in processing that information, and that their next PD cycle might include that choice board. And so that way they can design what that professional learning will look like and really give our teachers some leadership and some voice within that cycle. So this is just bringing you back to that nerdy cycle that Chris referred you to earlier.
I just have one question, and I think
ma'am.
you've answered it with your slide on page 8 with the choices sessions, because as I was looking at the grid, the areas that are low are and I'm referring to page 5, staff had input, self-selection of professional development, and then the one that I'm the most concerned about is likely to implement, because we know we can give people professional development, but if they don't use it, it's gone. So is that how they would use this choices session that you have on page 8?
Are you speaking about the district or the building level data?
This is building in-service data.
Okay.
There we go. See the columns, it's the 2 low columns, but then also that implementation column, which is at 84%.
Right.
But the choices session that you showed us later, is that one way that you would help differentiate that instruction, give them input, and give them the opportunity to plan the kinds of things that they want? Is that what the purpose of that sheet is?
Yes, ma'am. The idea will be that we provide this to our administrators, and they're going to be continually providing it to their staff. And so when we think about in-services and we have that time for an in-service to be presented, there will be wants and wishes offered from staff to the principal, to the coach, and then those things will be implemented into the in-service.
So that they can build it into their own building level in-service, so that their teachers are getting what they want.
Right, and there are examples, and I'll just share a couple quick examples. There are buildings that will do, for lack of a better phrase, stations, where they'll take input from multiple teachers, and then they will create different rotational stations where teachers can rotate through those stations so that they can have more differentiated opportunities during their in-service and during even PD time.
Okay, and then how do we take it that one step further for implementation?
Right. We will have the implementation, well, let me back up and make sure I have a question. Implementation into the classroom?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Into their classrooms and with their students.
Right. That goes back to the cadence of accountability piece. When we think about the plan, do, check, and act, there will be opportunities for building leaders to go into classrooms and monitor and see that those things are taking place in the classroom. Additionally, as part of one of the choice boards, there's an opportunity for teachers to bring artifacts. And so if there was something that's, well, I can take SRG or scales, if there is work that teachers are doing with scales, they have the opportunity to bring that back to professional development learning for the next session so that they have the time to collaborate and to share with each other about what's working in their classroom. It also provides the coach and the principal to have that time in the 94 minutes of professional learning to see the implementation in the classroom.
Okay, thank you. Ron?
Yeah, I think it was last month, you guys had the tech days over at Northeast.
Tech Summit, yeah.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with that, and just kind of curious on how that all feeds into this. Is it just, I mean, it was very impressive, because I didn't see a lot of people that were, well, I went to about 3 sessions, but I didn't see a lot of people who were teachers teaching. It seemed to be from different people, but it was all very impressive, though.
The Tech Summit is really awesome in that we do have teachers, classroom teachers that come and present, and also district level personnel and outside vendors as well that come in. And I tip my hat to all the teachers that come, because that's an unpaid volunteer event. They come for
Okay,
their professional learning. But one of the most powerful things about that is indeed the teacher choice. They get to
Yeah.
choose their own adventure, if you will, and choose the sessions that pertain to them that they want to take. Because we know when you have some choice, when you have some say, you're more likely to implement into the classroom. And President Logan's right in that is the ultimate goal, is student achievement in everything that we do.
Is there another one coming up this summer, or is it just a?
It's an annual event.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Ernestine?
I'm just real excited about this. Is one of the big criticisms of college classrooms is that the teachers to be say they don't teach us the way that they tell us to teach.
Fair.
And this to me is exciting, because it's getting into, we're teaching them the way we want them to teach the students. We know that students learn better if they have some option and can buy in. We know that teachers excuse me, are going to learn better if they know what their own gaps are that they need to fill. I'm just real excited about this. And now if we could just get our schools of education to do it, never mind.
Ben?
Yeah, so, what did I write down? Oh, can y'all come down to Spirit? Because I know a lot of engineers are really hankering for some professional learning.
I live with an engineer just like that.
The other thing I wanted to echo Ron's comments on the Tech Summit being a nice model, because I also received constituent input that said that self-directed learning was what they were really, really excited about. So I'm glad that that'll be in, that kind of methodology will be incorporated into the full PD piece that we offer throughout the year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you all.
Thank you.